Now, as most of you may know, or some of you, or at least anyone who cares, I finished up a story on Wattpad titled The Unwilling Protagonist. 51 parts and at least, what, six months worth of writing and work. Now, for the final chapter, I added a Q&A, and I was hoping to answer some questions, and I did get some questions. So, to the literal three of you that replied, that asked questions, here's the replies I'm gonna give y'all. First up, we got Victorious Uni. They asking, I'm satisfied with the wrap up. Now I'm just curious about your plans moving forward. Now, obviously, I do have a lot of other writing works that I want to do slash finish. First one is I want to complete the Adventurer series with the Hunter, and then maybe add a couple sequels slash spin-off books to that. I want to complete my Warhammer 40k book, Orican and Trazen's second excellent adventure, and I do want to finish up the third book, which is completely unrelated to everything I've written so far, which is Iron Regiment Unit 1006. For the next question from God of Stupidity, what was your favorite character writing wise? Or they're asking who was your favorite character writing wise. If you could go back in time to change a certain scene in your book, would you? If you could rewrite one of the main cast, which one would you choose? And am I going to make a sequel or spin-off of this book? Alright, so we'll answer this one at a time. My favorite character writing wise, I'd have to say it would be Geralt, or the Devil. Well, actually just Geralt, when he's being Geralt. I envisioned him as some sort of a spry, happy-go-lucky type of guy, kind of like Dr. Livesey, but maybe not as buff. And now, your second question, if I could change a certain scene in my book, would I? I think I probably would, to be honest. I think that when I introduced Strength and Homunculus 8, I kind of felt like maybe they might have been wasted potential, so if I could rewrite them to be a little better or maybe in-depth, I would. But other than that, if Strength was fine as it was, because I envisioned him to be just a big burly guy who just fights for his own enjoyment, if that's all that needs to be written about him, then I don't need to change anything. And am I going to make a sequel or spin-off of this book? Maybe not a sequel, but maybe probably a prequel where Magician was known to the world as the Dark Mage of Caldra, and we could see all the heroes, the recent heroes' adventures from there. And as for a spin-off, I wouldn't exactly call it a spin-off, but I would say it's related to the book. I was thinking about making a story about how Magician gathered up or created his Arcana members, but even then that has its own, I wouldn't say set of problems, but complications, because as Judgment stated, there are many different versions of Magician that exist in the world. The one in this story is an evil variant, but there are other variants of Magician in which he's kind of actually a good guy, but also a different Magician means different Arcana members. For instance, the Geralt, the Devil, he was in The Unwilling Protagonist, he was a sadistic torturer who was like, he's like the Punisher meets the Jigsaw killer from Saw kind of deal. Whilst in other dimensions, Devil was actually a mad scientist, doctor kind of person who liked torturing slash experimenting with his victims in order to make, I don't know, freakish creations or learn about the anatomy of different things. If I could rewrite one of the main casts, which would I choose? I wouldn't say I'd want to rewrite any of the main characters, but perhaps I probably would have redone Miriam, because I feel like maybe I didn't get around to her growth as not just a person or her relationships to YN, as I'm calling him in the story, but also probably for her skills and relationships with Rayland. Finally, there's King Creator, who says they have a couple of questions, but they ended up asking 6. Do I plan on making a spin-off or scenario book following the story? And understand that YN was sent back to the normal world at his regular age, so why was the rest of the cast forced to grow up normally? And is the Empress the only Arcana member in her world now? And then there's the appearance of the orc, the human, and the elf versus strength, and they're wondering if they had any importance to the story or my favorite part on writing this and any future projects I have. So, like I said before, I do plan on making a little spin-off or side series about how Magician met and recruited his Arcana members. Also, I'm thinking about making a prequel to the book, perhaps. And Wyan was sent back to the world at his regular age, so why was the rest of the cast forced to grow up normally? So, here's how this works. Judgment operates on two, systems. Reincarnation and summonings. Summonings are when a person is taken from their world and brought to a different world either by spells or by some other means. Judgment can choose who gets summoned and or where they get summoned to, either because she thinks they're needed, they're perfect for the job, or because she does it for kicks and giggles. In Wyan's instance, he was summoned to the world, which sort of means like his body was left behind and a new body was sort of copy-pasted into the world that he got thrown into. Now, for everyone, when he died in that world, that meant his soul, his conscience, his everything returned to his original body in the world he came from. While everyone else who did not have the same thing, they were more like reincarnated because their original bodies were stuck in their original world, and in order to, be reborn again, they'd have to live their entire lives again. Granted that as they grew up, they may have had little bits and flashes about their recent memories, and that's how they're able to know who Wyan is in the future. Next question. Empress is the only Arcana member in her world now? Yes, she is. She's the only one who's still alive, but aside from her, there's also the Blackfire instances and the Centurions that Magician created and the ones that she created. So basically, everyone who allied himself with Magician or became a Blackfire instance under Empress's care, they're the only ones that are left behind. And now next, the beginning, there is a group consisting of the orc, the human, and the elf in the battle against strength, and they all just died. And you feel like they were supposed to have some more importance to their journey. Were they supposed to be important at some part? I'll be honest, no, they weren't. They were supposed to be like the stereotypical characters that show up for like a few seconds or scenes, you get to know them, and then they just die. Perhaps when I get to the prequel, I could go a little in-depth or make it so that you can get to know them better. But other than that, that was all I intended them to be. Now, for my favorite part on writing this, I would say that would be introducing the Arcana members that would be Wyan's enemies. I had crammed them full of references, as you may have noticed. There was one with strength, in which I sort of modeled after the Raiden versus Armstrong fight from Metal Gear Rising.
Played college ball, you know. That's some cushy Ivy League school. Try University of Texas. Could have gone pro if I hadn't joined the Navy. I'm not one of those beltway pansies. I could break the president in two with my bare hands. Don't fuck with this, Senator!
There was the lovers fight, which I modeled somewhat, or at least had a reference to the Wild Dog and Wild Fang fight from Time Crisis 3.
Whoa! Surprise, surprise! Wild Dog, don't you ever die? Whoa! What the?
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Wild Fang, and it's a pleasure to meet you!
And there was the magician fight, which I did take a few bits of audio and lines from the House of the Dead series itself.
I must compliment you. I didn't think you could make it this far. However, this is it. Let's see how good you really are.
Any future projects? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Hey, out of me, nudge, nudge, say no more.
Well, as I said with Victorious Uni, I do have to finish a few more books and stories on my profile. They are probably not as good as this one, but hey, I gotta get them done anyway. And once those are done, maybe I could add a bit more, or maybe I might take a break until I find out what ideas I want to write next. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, one of the future projects that I intend on writing is a little bit of a lemon involving YN and Charlotte, and possibly YN and Miriam and Kara, which if you read the book, you may have an idea as to what happened, but this is a little more explicitly detailed writing about what actually went on behind the closed doors and whatnot. Normally I wouldn't be comfortable writing this kind of stuff, but I told a few people that I did some free writing whenever I wanted to, because I liked it, and they're looking at me and say, hey, you should try writing smut, and I thought, okay, I'll try it, why not? I suppose when I do finish this up, I'm going to upload it to my Patreon, where you can all read it. I'm going to put the link in the description for you, or you can see the link on my channel page. The first one's free, and the others you'll probably have to pay for it if you want to look at it. And that's going to be it for the Q&A for this video regarding my Wattpad story, The Unwilling Protagonist. If you have any more questions you want to ask me, either regarding the book or about me or anything else, feel free to ask it in the comments below. I'll answer it to the best of my ability if I can. Other than that, I'll see you the next time.